The following is intended for mature audiences. Use of foul language may be used throughout the show. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey folks, P. Busardo here, and you're listening to the Smoke Free Radio Network.
That was interesting.
Good evening, everybody. Mike Peterson here with another edition of Vaping and the Mic. I have to tell you, tonight's show it's a one-off. Got together with both Bill Tarling, who is going to help kind of ramble through a few things this evening, and then as he can, when he gets a chance and he's able to jump in, we're going to have Mr. Phil Busardo here also this evening. Tonight is going to be a show that has a lot, I'm sure, of foul language, because we are all going to be discussing recent trends, recent things that have been happening with the FDA. So, again, if this is something that is offensive to people, if foul language is not in your purview for the evening, I would gladly suggest you stop watching the show, catch a different show, do something. Because we're going to start our evening off with a little piece of continuing education.
Perhaps one of the most interesting words in the English language today is the word fuck. Out of all of the English words that begin with the letter F, fuck is the only word that is referred to as the F word. It's the one magical word. Just by its sound can describe pain, pleasure, hate, and love. Fuck, as most words in the English language, is derived from German, the word flicken, which means to strike. In English, fuck falls into many grammatical categories. As a transitive verb, for instance, John fucked Shirley. As an intransitive verb, Shirley fucks. Its meaning's not always sexual. It can be used as an adjective, such as, John's doing all the fucking work. As part of an adverb, Shirley talks too fucking much. As an adverb enhancing an adjective, Shirley is fucking beautiful. As a noun, I don't give a fuck. As part of a word, abso-fucking-lutely, or in-fucking-credible. And, as almost every word in a sentence, fuck the fucking fuckers. As you must realize, there aren't too many words with the versatility of fuck, as in these examples describing situations such as fraud, I got fucked at the used car lot. Dismay, oh fuck it. Trouble, I guess I'm really fucked now. Aggression, don't fuck with me, buddy. Difficulty, I don't understand this fucking question. Inquiry, who the fuck was that? Dissatisfaction, I don't like what the fuck is going on here. Incompetence, he's a fuck off. Dismissal, why don't you go outside and play hide and go fuck yourself? I'm sure you can think of many more examples. With all of these multi-purpose applications, how can anyone be offended when you use the word? We say, use this unique, flexible word more often in your daily speech. It will identify the quality of your character immediately. Say it loudly and proudly. Fuck you!
With that, joining me tonight is Mr. Bill Tarling, and we are going to use absolutely, I don't know what, oh my God.
Hey folks, Cranky Phil Busardo here. I will be there as soon as I can.
I am sure everybody... What's that, Bill?
I love my Phil mask.
Yeah, that's a hell of a good mask. I know that everybody is wanting to use that vocabulary word when it comes to the FDA. The FDA this week, folks, has absolutely began to show its hand in everything. And when Phil comes on, and he'll be here as he can a little bit later, but when Phil gets here, it is going to be something even he has noticed. I caught one of his posts earlier, and he was ranting so hard it wasn't even funny. You could almost hear him frothing at the mouth when he did that post, and I'm like, holy shit. But here's the thing. Last night in the Legion show, Bill made a couple of points. The Legion show made some points, and we're talking about this guidance garbage that the FDA has done. And I mean, it's bad. It's like really bad. Because if people take a look at it, this guidance that they dropped out, and I'll scroll all the way up here to the top of it. It's the modifications to compliance policy for certain deemed tobacco products. If that doesn't say, hi, vaping industry, we're going to ram this big thing up your anal orifice, it's not even going to be funny.
With a barbed wire dildo.
I'll tell you what, dude. There's so much in that is horrible. Just absolutely horrible. I'm going to turn around first. And I'm going to scroll down through here, and then I'll give you a nice full screen of something. Bill had caught this and spoke about it quite a bit. Here we are. And I got to make sure that this is the right one.
Which one are you looking for?
If I'm not mistaken, this is what you were talking about. And just in live Facebook land. I'll tell you something. This is absolutely killing me. When we turn around and we have issues that happen and Facebook just drops the hell out of everything.
Oh, it's been happening. It was happening yesterday to everybody.
Oh, I know that everybody had a problem with Facebook yesterday.
I'll go in and keep talking. What I'm going to do is I'll go in and put a mark to the new video.
Thank you.
For the people still on the old one.
And I know that everybody's going to have to hop and skip and jump. I'm going to go back to studio mode to make sure that I can control everything exactly the way that I want. And I want to make sure that people they're starting to come back in. Hey, there's Austin Hopper, Bill, Jerry, Mark. Guys, I Facebook does not like me at all. And especially because we are turning around and we are saying more things about the FDA than they really want us to say.
Okay. Well, you're live now, so at least for the next few seconds. And I think you're muted.
Are we muted?
Okay, now I hear you.
All right. No, I was just sitting here looking at, because I'm trying to find. This is one, folks, that Bill picked up, and he noted this last night during the Legion show. Okay. Is that he turned around and he says, it says, as noted in Section 2 of the guidance, effective August 8th, 2016, ends products that were not commercially marketed as of February 15th, 2007, are new tobacco products. Okay? New tobacco products require pre-market authorization before they can be legally marketed. Bill, I will let you take it at that point.
That is the key part. Before they can be legally marketed, which means whether Facebook, whether social media, whether posters, pictures, hand checks, it also means before they hit the shelves. So what the FDA is now doing is also giving themselves the right, wait a minute, you haven't received authorization yet. Because the line immediately afterwards says, therefore, new ends products, which they just gave the definition for, which is our products, anything that came out after February 15th, 2007, new ends products are legally required to be subject to an order authorizing their marketing. So that's not just the PMTA. Otherwise, they could have said, must have a pre-market application approved and so on. They put that it is subject to an order authorizing their marketing. So they may or may not enforce that right away, but what it does do is gives them power to say, regardless of your PMTA, you aren't authorized to market that yet. We've rescinded that. So
and that's something, you brought it up a couple times, and I know that the guys in the Legion were watching this last night, and I know that they pay attention, and I know that Tristan Thompson looks at everything that you talk about. I don't doubt that at all. They had a lot that they had on their plate last night, but this one killed me, because this means they could come around and go, fuck you, you are not on the market anymore because you don't have legal authorization.
And don't forget, it's not just Gottlieb. Gottlieb might have an intention. Here is one of the most critical things to remember when dealing with anything with legislation. And before we say anything, Mike is not a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. Mike's not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. So check with your own lawyers for verification.
Thank you.
I figured we better get that out of the way before anything.
Here's tonight's disclaimer. Everything that is on this show is opinion only. We are not in any way, shape, or form legal representation of any nature, form, or substance, and should not be taken so. This is an opinion show with information. How's that?
Now, what I was going to say, and this is what people keep forgetting. They go, if there's a public statement or a newscast or an interview, they go, oh, well, Gottlieb says he's doing this. And I'm going to use your opening that you had on the previous clip. You're going to have to sew them together. If anyone doesn't know why I'm going to be using this word,
it's bad.
Check about the first minute of the video right below this one, where he had a great little opening.
Continuing
before
education.
Facebook went, you're scaring me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to say is, I don't give a fuck what Gottlieb or anyone else says in interviews, in their public statements, in hearings, or anywhere else. What it says in the wording on paper is what becomes binding. Now, this is strictly a draft guidance so far. So this one hasn't gone through. But if the wording as is sticks in there, that could mean, hey, we didn't allow you to market it. Nothing to do with the PMTA. You just can't market it.
Yep.
We'll still process your PMTA, but for now, you are not allowed to market or promote your product, which means get that fucking stuff off the shelves now.
And that
is the danger of wording.
It is. And the very next paragraph, Bill, turns around and says, FDA intends to prioritize enforcement with regard to certain ends products marketed in the United States that do not have required FDA authorization for marketing. Ladies and gentlemen,
an approval.
This is what Bill is talking about. You don't have approval. Nobody on the planet in the vaping industry has approval to market any item from the FDA. Period.
And that's regardless of any deadlines that they said that you've got to get everything filed and applied for and processed, and we'll give the period afterwards after receiving it and all that. No. With the way they worded it, if they wanted to do that, then they would have put in, as they did in the deeming regulations, the pre-market approvals. And I think you're going to have to start shifting your scenes because.
Yep, there is a
My
man.
brother came in.
There is a man that has joined us. I'm going to put this on this screen while I go over here, and I have got something to show everybody. So everybody can sit and read this for just a second, because this modification in the compliance policy for ENDS products, it has all the capability to turn right around and slam everybody.
They did not say pre-market tobacco agreement. There is no PMT in there. They said authorize their marketing, period. Even further in their draft guidelines, another spot that was actually a little scary was FDA's decision to, and here's the important part, prioritize enforcement of the pre-market authorities against a manufacturer and or retailer with respect to the products offered for sale. If you read the guidance, they've also done something very, very sneaky. And here's why I say, I don't give a fuck what they say. Well, here's our intention, or here's what we mean by this clause. If you mean that, put that as the clause, because the only thing in here always getting excluded is tobacco and menthol and sometimes mint flavors. What flavors do tobacco companies use? Oh yeah, tobacco, menthol, mints. And they actually put exclusions for those flavors in each of the clauses. So they do know, well, they could have just said, oh, well, we don't intend to include those in flavors. No, they put specific exclusions. So if we don't have an exclusion, they can do whatever they want. And what they've done is they've worded things for sale in ways that pose a greater risk for minor access. That is intentionally vague. They did not say that may be sold to minors or anything else. They said that have access to it. You're at home, your kid gets a bottle. Oh, gee, that minor had access. Therefore, we can apply this. It's a lot of people say, well, no, it doesn't. They don't really mean that. I don't give a shit what they mean. If that's what it says and it's intentionally vague, as I said, they put excluding tobacco flavors and menthol flavors in each clause. Another thing they did not put in here, there is no exclusion clause for vape shops in the flavor ban.
No, there's not. There's no exclusion clause for anybody. Everybody's got
The only exclusion clause they put throughout the guideline is for tobacco flavors and menthol flavors. In other words, the ones that tobacco companies use. So wording is very, very critical, and that's why I'm picky. And that's why when presenting in front of legislation, when they're trying to pass bills and so on, they'll say, well, here's what we mean by that, or here's what's intended with that. If that's what they mean, or that's what is intended, put that wording in the clause. Well, we don't really want to do that. Why? Well, because then we wouldn't be able to pull the bullshit that we want to pull afterwards.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to fuck you over harder a little bit later. Now, everybody's taking a look at the raw footage coming right out of Zoom. So everybody can see down on the bottom, Mr. Phil Busardo. How you doing, Phil?
Good, Mike. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly fine, sir.
It was so wonderful to see you with your wife again on the last Smoker Show.
Wasn't it beautiful? It was beautiful. Now, first of all, I know we've gone over the use of the term "fuck" earlier on in this program. Regarding Bill Tarling's Phil mask, you can go fuck yourself there.
He loves me.
And you know, I'm just. Here's how my day was going to go today. Okay, I was gonna. This was the plan. The plan was I was going to get up, and I was going to do an introduction video for this, not a review, just an introduction video for the slide, and I was going to put it out there. And then I start seeing and hearing some of the nonsense that's going on today. This one hit me hard, guys. This one. I mean, look, all of it bothers me. All of it bothers me. This one, in particular, really pissed me off. Okay, and we'll go through why. And I couldn't do the video because I knew that my temperament and how I feel today was going to come through, and you'd be able to see right through me, and you'd know that I was aggravated. So And of course, I'm referring, and I don't know what you guys have talked about yet to this point, what you haven't talked about, but I am talking about the CNBC Scott Gottlieb interview.
Mm-hmm.
I've got that. I've got that in a piece coming up in just a moment.
All right, so I won't say anything. You guys go ahead and have your little conversation. I'm here listening. I'll go ahead and jump in when I feel I need to here. Okay?
Phil, did you manage to catch the Legion show last night?
I have not seen it yet. No.
You will definitely want to check in on that, because as they've come across, it includes hardware being banned.
Okay.
Any new hardware that came out after 2007. As a matter of fact, anyone who hasn't seen it, I'll post the link at the end of show today to that Legion video as well. It's worth checking out, because you got to remember, this stuff didn't happen overnight. Gottlieb's been planning this for a while. And just to give people an example, Salter on Legion show last night, he was talking about FDA have been at one of the distros places for 2 days solid, going through everything. Marking down, collecting all the information, all the paperwork, what was out when. And this is on the hardware as well, not just liquids. So, yeah, we've been saying for months, and actually a couple of years now, just because you don't see them enforcing things does not mean, oh, we don't have to worry. No, they may not be enforcing right away, but they don't have to do it the day something takes effect. You can sit back, watch, take names, gather evidence, get the ammunition, collect all the contacts, who's doing what, and then go, you're nailed. And guess what? Since all these new products that have been coming out, originally it was thought to only be e-liquids, but it's going to be the hardware as well, even stuff from China. They can, let's say you're e-liquids manufacturer. They can go and say, well, guess what? You've been doing this illegally the whole time when you brought the product out after 8/8. Therefore, we're coming after your financial ass retroactively for all those illegal sales.
Every one of them.
Yeah. So for those who think that, oh, well, there are loopholes, no problem, we can figure out a way around it. Page 8 and 9 of the deeming regulations. And if you've actually read the FDA deeming regulations, in all honesty, you don't have to go past page 9 to know that we are fucked. And it was planned, because they give themselves sole authorization for any interpretation of any clauses. They are judge and jury. And therefore, anything that they say that, well, here's our intent from that, they've given themselves the authority to do. And this shocked me. I brought it up when the deeming regulations came out, and everyone kept laughing, because it includes the software, like for the chips and so on, which means also the coding, which they legally can't own, but they have stolen ownership, and or at least they've called the coding for the software that handles the chip a tobacco product.
Because it's part of the actual
that
mod.
Was just a minor addition in these new guidelines. They've repeated it, that the software is included as part of the components.
See, and that we're going to get into that. I want to show this clip that threw Phil. And Phil, I'll tell you, honest to God, when I read your post, I looked at that and I could just hear you throwing shit in your room because you were so pissed about it.
Yeah, I know what clip you're gonna play. So
yep.
Go ahead and
this is that clip from what he was talking about from the CNBC.
I've been commuting from Connecticut, 3 young children in Connecticut, and really haven't seen them in the last 2 years. I usually spend 1 day a week home on Saturday. So it's been tough. This is really a difficult decision to step down from this job. I've loved this position. I feel we've accomplished a lot, but it's been a tough 2 years commuting from Connecticut.
We've loved having you in this position. I can understand family concerns. But when you made that announcement, the stocks of all of these cigarette companies jumped on the idea that there's not going to be anybody there who's policing it the way you have been.
Well, look, the policies that we put in place are going to go forward. I'm very confident of that. The policy making that I did while I've been in this position has been through a very deliberate process where I built consensus. The Secretary of Health and Human Services is extremely supportive of what we've done on tobacco. The White House is supportive. They put out a supportive statement yesterday, a fact sheet. I got tweets out from the White House as well supporting what we did. So I feel very confident that the roadmap has been cast, and this is going to go forward, including what we announced yesterday, the crackdown on the sale of the flavored products in convenience stores, putting in place heightened age verification requirements so that kids can't get access to those products that they find most appealing.
What happened in your meetings yesterday with Altria and Juul?
Well, I talked to them about the future. The 2019 National Youth Tobacco Survey, which we're in the field with right now, collecting that data, shows another spike in teen use. We're going to be back making new policy in the fall. And one of the things that we're going to have to examine is whether we take the entire category of pod-based e-cigarettes off the market. At some point, the youth use of those products becomes so intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value, and we'll just have to sweep the market of those products. And that includes Juul.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is what sent Phil over the edge. And Phil, just for you, because it is tonight, my wife has brought me a nice little orange margarita drink. So everybody get their shit together.
Drink today, Mike, for sure. Let me repeat. Okay, so first of all, let's, before everybody starts panicking, there is some in that clip that you just played. There's some positive stuff. Okay, he seems to be focused on flavored products in the C-stores, okay?
Right.
And some of the stuff that Bill was just talking about, some of that is speculation, okay? So let's continue to not lose our minds. What makes me the most mad is this. At some point, the youth use of those products becomes so intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value.
Yep.
Scott Gottlieb is a smart man. He's a smart guy. I can't believe nonsense and bullshit like that came out of his mouth today. I can't believe it. This is like, it's the straw that broke the camel's back with me. So I'm going to just read like some of the stuff that I wrote on Taste Your Juice, because I think I rewrote it like 5 times already.
Oh, wow.
So let me get this straight. Scott Gottlieb and the FDA and all you other fucking groups out there who are making absolutely no sense at all. I can't believe this nonsense is happening in this country, okay? When adults who have switched from smoking, because this is what you've been telling us all along, right? Smoking is not good for us. So we found something that's better, up to 95%, maybe even better than that. We found something that's better. We're doing that now, okay? All right, so when adults who have switched from smoking to vaping, who are enjoying the at least 95% safer way of getting their nicotine and potentially not dying of cancer, okay? This equates to, that equates to no redeeming public health value. That's what that means. Because you can't control the kids who are using this product, because mom and dad don't know what little Billy or Sally are doing, because little Billy and Sally aren't being held accountable for their own actions. It's okay that we die. That's okay. That's all right with you. That's what you're telling me in that statement. So, no, and I say it again, no redeeming public health value. This is unbelievable. This is the direction we're heading in this country. We're listening to nonsense. We're listening. You should have heard the local news story that was played on Cape Coral this morning, where a doctor came on the news and said that vaping is just as dangerous as smoking. Jesus. That is what a professional doctor said on the news today. And of course, everybody's going to sit back and say, that's a doctor. That must be true. That's got to be true. All right. So people being healthier and not dying of cancer equates to no redeeming public health value, because you can't enforce your own laws and keep these products out of the hands of the youth. This is insane. I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to do anymore. This is complete insanity. What's going on right now in this country in vaping.
For him to turn around and say as you mentioned, no redeeming health value. Does he just want everybody to go back to smoking?
To me, that is a big fuck you to every smoker out there and every vapor out there. Let me rephrase that. That is a big fuck you to every mature adult smoker out there and every mature adult vapor out there. Okay?
Yep.
Because I'm telling you, if a C-store or an online vendor or anybody sells to an underage, okay, take their license away, shut them down, sue the, what do you call it? Just a massive fine, whatever, okay? And then go after the parents, and then go after the kid. Put a charge on their record if a kid is found using. They know that they shouldn't be doing that. They're not stupid.
There's no onus on them, which is the problem.
But we have got to stop as a society and as a country of taking freedoms and rights away from mature adult people who can make their own decisions, okay? Who can do the research on their own and make their own decisions. And we got to stop taking things away from us because you can't control something else or because somebody's doing something wrong someplace else. It's got to stop.
It's at that point where, and exactly what you're saying, this guy who is leaving his job, he's already put his notice in. He is already in the wind down stage. He gives zero fucks now what is going to happen. So now he's going to pull out every last little stitch of what he wanted to say and say it. And this is part of it. And if people listen to what he said, not only no redeeming value, which is complete horseshit, he talked about a roadmap that's already been laid out. And this is part of that roadmap.
You know, Mike, I'm at a point where, like, I can yell and I can scream and I can get frustrated and I can get annoyed. It's just like, when is it going to end? Because every time we turn around, there's another roadblock, there's another tax, there's another ban, there's another bad story. It's just, and you know what's funny? Has anybody been harmed by vaping?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
big tobacco.
Other than, there have been a couple of battery explosions. Yeah, I know there was a life lost there. I know that's very sad. It's an unfortunate thing that happened. But, a cell phone can explode too just as readily, right? Yeah. I mean, where all of this is based on nothing, except for the fact that it's found in studies, and we continue to get new studies, and we continue to get good studies that say it's far safer than smoking.
Now,
and it's just it always comes down to the same damn thing over and over and over again. Is somebody's losing money and they got to make it up, and this is how they're doing it.
What's really interesting is if you read that proposed guidance that he put out, every study that he put in there is a junk study, and most of them have been repeatedly debunked, and he knows they're debunked. You know what's not in there? For instance, this is the thing about flavors. The Dr. F study, FDA to date, has still never even publicly acknowledged.
I was going to
people got to understand, it wasn't just a huge, like literally the largest study done throughout the industry. It was specifically done for the U.S. only, so that there could be no claims that, this is from other countries, so it doesn't count. Plus, it cost them a couple million. But they had to spend a fortune more, and Dr. Farsalinos intentionally, and even though it meant it wouldn't be quite as detailed as he wanted, he made it very specifically to all the FDA format and requirements.
He
used their software and had to pay a fortune to submit it through their software so that it would have to be accepted.
That's what I was going to say. He used approved FDA software to do the study.
Yes. And it wasn't cheap.
And then you've got him coming out and saying, well, if we research and we find out this, and the research has been done for you. I got an idea. Fucking read it. Mm-hmm. Read it.
Here's a part from that study. And if people stop and take a look, It says after removing double entries through IP address. So this is just per person. They had 69,233 adults take part in this study. It was the largest study, and I've heard Demetrius say it many times. I've heard you talk about it, Phil. It was the largest study ever done on flavors. And they have not even acknowledged any of that yet.
Mike, since you got your chart there and the study, see if you can find what percentage were tobacco and what percentage were menthol.
So you want to dig into the next little part of all of this.
Yes, because Phil wasn't here for it at the time, but there had been a couple of other mentions that adults prefer strictly tobacco and menthol over all other flavors.
This on people's screen.
All they really want was menthol and tobacco.
Yep, this on people's screen right now, again, coming from that wonderful guidance piece of bullshit, says, recent evidence also indicates that mint and menthol flavored ENDS products are preferred more by adults over other flavors, but that other flavors are preferred more by minors. But this, they're saying...
And he's had Dr. F study for how long? When was that done again?
My guess, Bill, my guess is that he's looking specifically at the Juul product.
Yes.
Right? That's what I'm assuming.
He does mention Juul, but then he also goes into other devices as well.
Yeah, so maybe when it comes to that type of device, that kind of product, that maybe adults do prefer the tobaccos and the menthols. This particular adult has no interest in vaping a Juul or a similar product, and also has no interest in vaping a tobacco or a menthol product. This particular, and I know there are a lot of electronic cigarette users out there who feel the same exact way as this particular adult.
As a matter of fact, Dr. F's study proved it.
Here's from Dr. F's study. And this is when the flavors at the time of participation, 69,233, turned around and it shows flavors, tobacco, 7.8%, menthol, 13.3%, mint or wintergreen, 9.6%. Oh, the next one, fruit. How many people enjoyed fruit? 83%.
But Gottlieb said that adults don't really care about fruit flavors.
Yeah, their second one comes right in, dessert, pastry, and bakery at 70%. And then candy, chocolate, or sweet at 46%. There is no fucking way that they can turn around and justify saying recent evidence also indicates. There is no way in hell. If that were true, why then did they tell Juul, take all of your flavors and get them the fuck off the market?
And why did Juul said, yeah, that's actually a good idea. That will help cut down youth. People don't need flavors. All they need are tobacco, menthol. In other words, the same flavors that Altria carries. And Juul said, yeah, good idea. Get rid of flavors. And you know that afterwards they're going to say, we have to be fair and blanket right across. Phil, how's your heart for a second?
Why? You gonna make me even more mad now?
Here it comes.
I might.
Right.
People forget. Gottlieb, his last day out the door, can easily sign a bunch of things into effect. And why do I suspect that as a possibility? Because he's also been on interviews where he says, right before I leave, I'm going to make sure more restrictions are put in effect. And his replacement, Sharpless, coming in, don't expect too much from that either. Because as he basically said, Sharpless has expressed support for Gottlieb's vaping restrictions. If you actually look at where Sharpless comes from, which is National Cancer Institute, he was the head. They've been putting out so much friggin' misinformation. They've been saying that all these products contain toxic fumes that will kill people. Every every bullshit junk science study has gone through there. And where are they getting their information from? FDA, CDC, and the U.S. Surgeon General. And that is the only data they're looking for. The NCI has been very anti-vaping. They have articles and articles and articles throughout their site anti-vaping. So this is the head of NCI moving here. He has already also said he plans on putting in more restrictions.
Well, of course. I mean, what better time? What better time for him to? Are you familiar with Lucille? Lucille from The Walking Dead.
Yep.
The bat.
Yep. It's actually Hank. He's got a copy at our vape shop here.
What they've been doing is they've been beating us in the head with Lucille. Now they're just going to shove it right up our ass.
No. Well, yeah. I mean, it's basically they're using barbed wire dildos, but
so what better time for Gottlieb, who I'm still, because every time he talks, he still says that he acknowledges the fact that vaping is safer. As a matter of fact, what?
That's strictly to placate vapors. If he says that, he'll go, oh, see, well, yeah, it's better, and hey, it might even help people quit. Vapors go, yes, he's on our side. Now, we got to get rid of these damn things, because guess what? They might help people quit.
What better way for him to shove it up our ass than to make it the last thing that he does before he leaves? This way he doesn't have to get any of the repercussions from the vapors that you're talking about right now.
And Sharpless is just itching at the bit to dive in even deeper. And like I said, if you go onto the NCI website and just do search word vaping, pull up all their articles, not one is even pro-vaping. They go into secondhand smoke and cancer from e-cigarettes, which, gee, they did the study in California. And when they did the study in California, they went into the vape shops. This was when every vape shop was having cloud blowing competitions nonstop. They went in, completely filled. They go, we're going to nail these fuckers to the wall. We will prove this. They came out the results. We probably don't want to show this too much because it came out about the same as if nothing was happening in there.
Listen, guys, you know that I have never claimed to be a vaping advocate in the sense that a lot of you guys do advocacy, right? I don't claim to know a lot of stuff when it comes to advocacy. I don't claim to know every little publication that Bill is talking about, Mike, that you talk about on your show. That is not my area of expertise. The only thing I want to do is try these products and say, hey, if these are really good, let people know about them, so that, and also continue to support smokers and help smokers find a less harmful way, a much less harmful way of getting their nicotine, and maybe live a little bit longer. That has always been my goal, right? That since day one, that is what I do. But when I see something and I hear something like, at some point, the youth use of those products becomes so intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value. That affects me as just I'm mad as a United States of America citizen. Yeah. That's where I'm mad right now. Yeah. I'm mad because this has happened, and I wrote about this on Taste Your Juice. And it's something that I've seen, and I've seen it happen, and it continues to happen. And these are just so there was an archery class in one of the high schools in Rochester, New York, and kids would go and they would learn about archery, and they would take this archery class until one brilliant little child took the arrow and swung it around and shot an arrow into a house. Okay, so instead of saying bad boy, maybe they did, right? Maybe they said bad boy. Instead of like repercussions, they canceled archery class. That's what they did, right? That's what they do. There was a really nice fair, a nice carnival that we had in Rochester, and youth, they would go and they would start fights. They would post where they were going to be and starting these fights on social media and everything. So what did they do? Were there repercussions? Did they drag these little fucking assholes to jail?
Nope.
Were mom and dad brought in?
Nope.
Was more security brought in to make it a safe healthy environment for adults and families who wanted to enjoy this carnival. No, they canceled the carnival, right? It's kind of like what I'm seeing right now. This is absolute lunacy. This is absolute lunacy. Studies and data are showing, and look, I know you're finding bad things in vaping, and you are going to find bad things in vaping. Nobody claims that vaping is safe. I'm going to be the very first one to say, if you don't smoke and you don't vape, continue to do neither. Do not vape. Do not take up vaping as a hobby. Okay? Do not look at vaping if you don't smoke right now. But if you are a mature adult smoker who maybe wants to have a healthier lifestyle, who maybe wants to live a little bit longer, who wants to feel better, okay, you are a prime candidate for vaping. That's who I want to speak to. That's who I want to speak to through my efforts, through the Smoker Show, through my reviews. That is because let me tell you something. I would much rather have 100 views on my videos, okay, and 1,000 subscribers than have 1 million subscribers, right, and have hundreds of thousands of views, but also be talking to minors. That's not what I want. That was never my goal in this industry. But when I see this craziness that's going on, right? Because people, because as a society, I don't understand. We have totally forgotten. We do not like the word responsible. We do not like the words responsible and responsibility. We hate those words. What do we like? Blame. We got to blame. We got to blame this. We got to blame that. We got to blame this person over there. We got to blame this product. No. It's time to forget about the word blame and start to use the word responsible again. Let's be responsible for our actions.
And it's got to start with the parenting. It surely does. It's got to start at home.
If there's no onus on the kid, they know that, hey, oh, gee, it's going to affect the adults. They're going to lose their stuff. Boo-hoo. Who gives a shit? I'm safe. And that's basically their mental attitude that they're taught.
Oh,
yeah, even when we were kids, we got into stuff that we shouldn't have. That's what happens. And then you, hopefully, most people, when they become adults, start growing out of some of those things. But it's going to happen. But Mike, Phil, I know if I did something wrong, I paid for it. I got in.
You got your ass whipped. So did I.
Yeah. Oh, my dad was not the kind of. He was a tough ass construction worker, Italian construction worker from back in the day. He was not the person to fuck with.
No.
And I got my ass kicked many, many, many times by my father. But now we live in the timeout mentality, right? There's no serious just go over there and sit in timeout for a little while.
See,
okay, 30 seconds is enough. You can come out now.
Yeah, here's your participation trophy for sitting in timeout. Fuck that.
A perfect video on that. Have you ever seen Russell Peters live? Some of his early videos. Talks about his father who would always give the kids beating till a white kid came over, and Russell Peters is Indian. White kid came over, and my friend, he says, "Why don't you call child services?" He goes, "What do you mean?" "You call child services, they can make him stop." So next time his father, "You're going to get a hurting." He goes, "Well, maybe I'll call child services." Father goes, "Oh, well, wait a minute. You're going to call child services? Let me think then. It will take them 20 minutes to get here. In the meantime, you are going to get a real hurting."
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and let me try to explain something else to you guys too. You think about it this way, right? No matter what the FDA does, okay, we as vapors, we're going to be just fine. I truly believe that. We as vapors are going to be just fine. We'll find a way. We'll have a friend who has a friend. We'll DIY. We've got lots of product. We can do rebuildables. We're going to be fine, right? So why even get frustrated, Phil? Why get angry? Why start yelling on this show? And it's because, first of all, of the principle of the matter, right? You don't care if your citizens die. That's what you're telling me. To me, that's what you're telling. You don't care. I mean, your job is to keep people alive and healthy, and you're doing completely the opposite, right? Well, that's number one. Number two, these products have to be easily accessible and convenient so that smokers can find and use them.
Yep.
Right? I am so tired of hearing, well, all you got to do is learn how to DIY. Okay, tell that to my mom or my wife. Tell them that they have to make their own e-liquid. It's not going to happen.
No, it'll never fucking happen.
All you got to do is learn how to build. Tell that to my mother and my wife.
No.
Never going to happen. Never.
A little message for DIYers, please. For all you smartasses who think, oh, DIY, no problem. Got to remember, once this shit goes down, vape shops no longer have much to sell. They can't make a living off that and that as the only thing they can sell, especially when that's the only thing available in every shop.
And you know,
they close down. As they close down, the manufacturers, we have no one to sell our products now. We've got to cut back. And you know what? We have no one left to sell. We've got to shut down. The suppliers go, you know what? It's pointless making this stuff for manufacturers because, hey, they're gone. So in the meantime, yeah, this is great. 3 years later, it doesn't work anymore. What do I do? Kiss your ass goodbye, or go down the street, get one completely unregulated with little soldered wires that might go poof. That is going to be your option, and that is what DIY is basically doing. But what hurts most anyone, and most people here probably watch the Smoker Show. If you haven't, tune in to some of the past episodes of the Smoker Show. So I'll tell you right now, Phil and Dimitri, each show, new people came on. I was a smoker. I've been watching your shows. I realized a lot of the stuff I heard out there wasn't accurate. I decided to give it a try. I haven't smoked in 5 days, 1 week, 3 weeks, 3 months since you showed up. My friend told me to tune into here. I was a smoker. I figured they were an idiot. I tuned in. I listened. I realized that, okay, let's try it. I have cut down from 2 packs to 3 cigarettes a day. I'm down to 1 cigarette starting this weekend. 2 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by. I don't smoke.
And you know what, Bill? Imagine where we would be as an industry and a community, right? If that was what we were doing since day one, was educating the legislators, educating the lawmakers, educating the public, educating. And, you know, we try. And first of all, I don't like when you say the wise ass DIYers. Okay.
No, what I mean are the ones who say.
I know.
I DIY, by the way.
You know, I like to smooth things out like that. I don't like when anybody says anything bad about anybody, except the FDA. They go fuck themselves right now.
By the way, I am a DIYer too.
Right. But you know, I respect the DIY community. I love the fact that
I love the community.
Matter of fact, Dimitri and I are going to be doing something with the DIY community here very, very soon that we're going to be announcing shortly.
Good.
But imagine like where we would be today if we just if it was just about education, if we calmly educated and we conducted ourselves as a professional industry instead of some of the childish behavior that we've seen. Now, you can make the argument that, well, all of that childish behavior didn't mean anything because they're going after the jewel, and the jewel had nothing to do with all that childish behavior. Yeah, I get that, which makes me really want to shoot myself in the head sometimes. Like, what the hell is going on? But imagine where we would be, you know. And we try to educate. The problem is we're always talking to ourselves. Always. This show talks to vapors. My show talks to vapors. My videos talk to vapors. And we all, it's like this big, it's like taking like the most important news story about vaping and putting it on a boomerang and throwing it. And you know where it comes right back and hits you in the head.
Yep.
This is like a problem that I see. It's like you've got such passionate people with such good information, and we're all listening to each other, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going to the places where it needs to go, which are to the government and the policymakers and the lawmakers and everything. We can sit here and scream and yell until the veins pop out of our heads, and it's going to do nothing. It's going to do nothing because it's not going to the ears that it needs to go to. And we got to figure out as an industry how we can do a better job of that. We have to.
Here's a good one. This was months ago. I spoke with the former police chief in my area, a good friend of mine, because I wanted the law side of all of T21 and things like that. I wanted to hear from an authority. And I know that he would shoot me straight up and not give me any bullshit. Here's what the law says. Here's what we do. He mentioned that very same thing, Phil. He goes, I've been watching all of this about vaping. He goes, I've been watching your show. He goes, I don't talk about it. He goes, but here's the thing. He goes, if you really want to affect change, he goes, stop doing what you're doing. Continue talking about advocacy. He goes, but go to your local church and see if you can take 15 minutes to speak to them during one of their church meetings. You have got to go out and you have got to get off your ass and go talk to people. You can't sit around. He goes, because he said the very same thing. You're talking in a big circle right now. He goes, you want to break that? He goes, go find the veterans and talk to them for 15 minutes about vaping. Go talk to the people at the church for 15 minutes about vaping. Go talk to the kids. He goes, you don't want them using it? Go explain why. It's an adult product. He goes, if you think that some 4-H group or some Boy Scout group is going to say, no, we don't want you here, he goes, you're absolutely mistaken. He goes, if you are going in with a narrative saying, kids, this is something that you do not want to pick up or use, regardless of what your friends are doing. He goes, go talk to them, educate them.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I love the church idea. I love the veterans idea. I mean, I myself think about every day, like how can I reach more smokers with my limited budget and my limited reach? How can I do? I mean, that's one of the reasons why we did the smoker show. That's one of the reasons why I did the meeting or conference or whatever it was back in the diner where my mother-in-law works back in Rochester, where I had a whole bunch of smokers come in and I just sat and I talked with them. And I want to do more of that. I want to do more. Here's where we're making the mistake with the kids, though. Okay, is the more we tell them don't do it, the more they're gonna fucking do it. The more we talk about it, the more they're gonna do it. It's like this. I could say this about so many other things where if media would just shut up, things would get better. Things would go away. Things would improve. But every time media opens their mouth, all they do is throw gasoline on the fire. Constantly, time and time again.
Yep. And what do you hear from the media? Juul, vaping, smoking, Juul.
Dimitri actually wants, like, the Zlide tank on some of those negative campaigns because we would sell like 10 times more of them, right? Or the Z tank. You know, of course we don't want that to happen.
No, but I've heard you guys.
In reality, I was taught a long time ago there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Right.
When it comes to sales, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Nope. If your name is out there, you just increased your sales.
And you know, I mean, like, so with everything that's going on, with all of this negative media towards Juul, their sales are skyrocketing. So if I was in that position, I would probably sit back and say, yeah, we'll take the fruit flavors out of the C-stores. That's fine. That's not going to hurt us that much, right? But I would have so much more respect for that company and Altria, and I think the entire vaping industry would if they had said, no, you know what? We're going to fight right alongside of you to keep our flavors in the C-stores because adults should have access to flavors too. And we're going to fight because we don't believe in that tobacco 21. Right, but they know that they got to play the game, and they've got to do whatever it's going to take to appease the powers to be, so that they can have their products remain on the market, right? Sure. If you know,
further,
you know, and I'll say this before I let you jump in, Bill. You know, Gottlieb said that we'll just go ahead and ban the Juul. I doubt very much that we will ever see that happen. But all right, go ahead, Bill. What you got?
Well, for those who don't understand, how did the Juul become so popular? If you remember right before that, when there was kids are vaping these things, in other words, the stuff we use.
Yeah.
And so the nicotine's going to kill them and all this. Then the studies were done, and it was a case of, guess what? It's way over 80% don't use nicotine. Juul came out, so how did that become popular? FDA, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, Pharma, they're going, there are these products coming out that always have nicotine. It's called a Juul. They're the ones who actually started promoting it. Why? Well, then it creates the claim and epidemic that they want, and they can ignore all other figures. They were actually putting out campaigns. When Campaign for Killing Kids was doing all their campaigns against vaping, what they did was they said, vaping will kill you. Here is a Juul. Look at this thing. It is dangerous. Are you tough enough to use it? We don't think you are. You should not try this. Your parents would not like it. This is for adults. You guys are bad if you play with this thing.
Well,
This Juul. And that's how they started marketing. And the FDA jumped in as well. And Juul isn't some product that magically attracted Altria. The founders of Juul had previously sold their first e-cig products to Big Tobacco. Why? They use that as test ground. What do we need to know for our marketing, our approaches, and gaining the attention of Big Tobacco? What did they need? They learned that from their first product, so they had it set up for Big Tobacco right there. Oh, by the way, they're also now with the UK Vaping Association, and they have their branches all in South Korea now set up shop to go along with the IQOS and all the tobacco products and cut down on the type e-liquid systems we use.
I think there's one more thing in there, Bill. I think there's one more thing in there, and that when after you're being told no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, and you're like, well, now I got to do this because everybody's told me not to do that, right? And I try it, and I get a head rush. I get a physical sensation, a physical feeling that I like. I like it, right? I think that's another one of the problems.
Yeah, it is.
Which is really a double-edged sword. And why is it a double-edged sword? Because number one, kids are going to be attracted to that because it gives them a buzz, right?
Yep.
That's that. But and Dimitri and I say all the time that nicotine is not the enemy. And if you want to get off your cigarettes, you need good nicotine levels and strengths to satisfy that portion of the habit or addiction or whatever you want to call it, right? So, but you got to start asking yourself, well, how much is too much? And we can go down a big shithole when it comes to this. Do we really need 50 milligrams salt nicotine out there? Do we really? Is that really what people? Okay, and the problem is some people are going to say yes. That's the only thing that worked for me.
Bullshit.
Juul was the only thing that worked for me.
Bullshit.
So how can you get mad at that? Right? How can you get mad at it? It's hard. For me, it's hard to get mad. I was actually a really kind of a big, when everybody was negative Juul, like I was like, wait a second, right? I'm like, whether they use a Juul or a Zenith, they're still not smoking, right? And that's a good thing. I mean, if you truly care about tobacco harm reduction, right? If you truly care, if what your goal is, what my goal is that people don't smoke anymore and they live a longer, healthier lifestyle, then it doesn't matter where you get your tobacco harm reduction from, okay? Where I completely flipped was when Juul said, yeah, we're going to take our flavors out. We're not going to fight with you. Or, yeah, we're all for tobacco 21, okay? That was the day that I flipped. And I was like, nope, no more. No more.
Can I give Phil one tiny little more piss off thing?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Wait, before you do this,
remember I mentioned Juul going into South Korea? Yeah. Well, their version of Juul will not be available in North America, but it is being used in other countries. 1%, Nick.
Yeah, 10 milligrams.
Only 1%. In other words, the levels we use now. But that version won't be available.
Why?
In the US or Canada.
We can't get it in the U.S. Why? Because it's a new product.
No, even then. They already know.
But this is the bullshit that we are fucking facing. We can't bring in any new products, okay? They can't introduce that because you know damn well their 10 and 20% was made after the deeming regulation. Hands down, it was. So we can't have that in the United States. We can't have the 10 milligram or the 20 milligram because the FDA says you can't have new shit. So fuck you people. You can't have less. You're stuck with what is. And we don't like what is, so we have, what'd you guys say, Lucille? The ball bat?
Yeah.
It is going to be shoved so far up your ass that a dentist will be able to see the top of it.
Mm-hmm. And you know the whole you know, looking at product after 2007. Okay, if they God help us all if they actually say, all right, everything that's been out since 2007 on has got to come off the market. That, first of all, like, that's pretty much decimates the industry. There's nothing left. At that point, there's nothing left. But here's the part about that really bothers me. All right, there's so many. Can I just apologize to Mike here real quick? Mike's been trying to have me on this show for so long now. I finally come on the show, and I'm just a raving fucking lunatic tonight. I apologize, Mike. But
No.
It gets people's attention.
I mean, this is I like, you know, sometimes cranky feels like a funny thing. I'm just really cranky today. I really am. I'm aggravated. I'm frustrated. I'm at my wit's end with a lot of this stuff. But so let's go back to let me give you this analogy, okay? We have cars now, right? And cars are getting safer every single day. You have seat belts, and you have anti-lock brakes, and you have collision avoidance systems, and you have lane guidance systems. You have all this stuff. You have all this stuff keeping you, the driver, safer.
Yep.
Okay? So what are we doing with electronic cigarettes? We're going to say, we don't want you to have that new car anymore. We don't. We're going to go back to a time. This is before seatbelts and before anti-lock brakes and before collision avoidance systems and before lane departure warnings. We're going to go. That's the car that we think you should have. We think that is the better car for you, American public.
Actually,
that's what they're
only
doing.
be driving an Etzel.
It's insane. It's absolute insanity.
Especially, Gottlieb keeps saying, "Oh, well, we need to encourage innovations and improvements." Except for, guess what? Let's say this was a device came out, and they go, "We realize something. There's an adjustment we need to make that will improve the safety, give an extra safety function to it." Well, I'm sorry, you're going to have to submit a whole new PM2A and wait another few years for it. And guess what? None's passed anyhow, so you.
Nobody's ever passed a PMTA.
So that thing that you discovered might need fixing. Tough shit.
And think about this too. Think about how brilliant this is. Think about how brilliant this is, right? Let's say we do have to go back to 2007 and earlier product. Let's say we got to do that. All right. They weren't satisfying. They weren't helping anybody. There weren't very big conversion rates. So that's perfect for them. Why is that perfect for them? Because they're going to sell more fucking cigarettes.
Yep.
And they're going to make back all that cigarette money.
And
right?
You see, this is something, Phil, I will tell you hands down. I used the clip that you did on Dimitri's show a lot. I mean, I try to play that thing damn near every time I can because it is so perfect when you tell people why. Why is this happening? It's happening because of money. Hands down, taxation, money to pharma. We're taking money out of their pocket, okay? And they're not getting it back, and they can't throw taxation on vape to make up for. And which people that are not paying attention, Juul is saying, yes, we want T21, and yes, we want taxation.
And we want flavors gone.
Why do they want taxation? I think somebody mentioned it not long ago. Juul in their pod has 0.7 milliliters of juice. So what are their taxes going to look like? Fucking small.
It's going to be tiny.
Very, very little.
But
Ours are going to...
If I get a bottle of 60 mil, I'm going to be taxed out the ass. But the thing is, MSA money. We could rant about that all night long. But you take away their taxes. Okay, New York. New York alone. I don't even give a shit about California right now because they are just absolutely fucked up the wazoo so hard. It's not even funny. New York wants to either ban all flavors, which Demi and Phil have both said would drive people back to smoking, which is what they want. But they are losing taxation money at the rate of 10, 15, 18 million dollars a year. And it's not coming back, and it's only going to snowball with more people vaping. So they're losing taxation right off the bat. Then they're losing money from the MSA because they're not selling as many cigarettes. So now they are looking at a $30 to $40 million deficit, what they had last year. And if people don't think that they want to kill vaping for that alone, you got rocks in your head.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually kind of looking through Taste Your Juice right now because I put something up there a long time ago where I basically calculated, right, what New York State lost in revenue because I don't vape, I don't smoke anymore. Just me, right? Just me. And it was a ridiculous amount of money. It was a ridiculous amount of money, right? And now that's one person. Imagine that dollar amount multiplied by all of the people who are leaving smoking. And hey, look, if you leave smoking and you find a standard cessation device that works for you, a gum, a patch, or a pill, and that gets you off of smoking, and you don't even have to look at vaping, again, tobacco harm reduction, people living longer. I'm happy that you were able to use that product to not smoke anymore, right? But when you can't, because it's not just quit or die. People can't do that's not that easy to do, right? And some people will say, well, you're just taking a harmful habit and you're replacing it with a less harmful habit. Yeah,
it's a harmful habit.
Yes, yes. Right. I mean, look, if it's something that as an adult I enjoy, I like to do, it's not hurting anybody except maybe myself, but not as much as the cigarette was, right? Then so what? Leave me alone. Yep. Leave other vapors alone.
You like scaling down mountains, but now you're starting to use these harnesses, safety lines, and ropes and everything. That's just making it safer, but you're climbing down mountains. Yeah. But I'm not going to fall the same way.
Phil, do you still have that on your website, tasteyourjuice.com? The taxation piece that you did?
I was just looking for it. I can't find it. I don't know if it was a post on TYJ or if it was something that I put on Facebook. If I do find it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, shoot me a link, because I tried to do the very same thing. I tried to sit down and calculate how much New York was going to lose in taxes just by the decline of people not smoking and picking up vaping.
Yeah.
And the first year was like $8 million lost just from taxation. And I did it just to New York City, not the entire state, just New York City was going to lose $8 million the first year. And it was incremental every year after that until they were having a deficit of like 32, 45, $64 million.
If New York doesn't get people smoking again, they will literally, and I mean literally, have to declare bankruptcy if they can't replace that money.
No, they'll legalize pot. Everything will be fine.
That's true. They've been bringing that in. Something people need to know about tobacco and pharma. Tobacco companies, everyone's going, oh, let's just get them on our side and get them in to support us. No, there's a reason why tobacco companies are so successful and why there are only a few, very small group of major tobacco manufacturers. Early on, they got together and go, tell you what, we band together, we wipe out everybody else. Just our small group will split the pie. We will battle with each other and compete against each other, but we don't have to worry about all those people. Same thing with vaping. Let's get rid of that portion of the industry, and that way, whether we sell our version of vaping or a cigarette, I mean, we get money from both. Pharma. you got to remember, yes, they're NRT, which have been around for decades and decades and decades and have one of the worst failure rates. It's over 90% failure. Well, first of all, they're intentionally made so that people will relapse, because then they get, now they say they had 2 people quit, even though it's the same person twice, but try something else. The other thing is, pharma has contracts in Canada and throughout the States with individual states to buy their NRT products. So if you have a product which the government is paying at a premium price so that they can distribute to, we want to help you quit smoking. So government has contracts paying a fortune from these. And suddenly this product that has been shown, and actually there have been studies showing 60, then 70, and as products increased and improved because they could innovate, the figures were going up, and there was one that was over 80% success rate of switching people. How do you get your contract renewed when your product that you're making billions from through pre-sold contract sales only has a 3 to 8% success rate? So yeah, they have to get rid of us because they risk losing mega billions in contracts if the public realizes that, wait a minute, you mean your stuff doesn't work? Well, it'll work temporarily.
Here's the thing. Phil said it in his video. And again, Phil, I love that rant that you did.
Mm-hmm. It was great.
Cure cancer. Let's just say for shits and grins that it happened that most people migrated in a generation, at least one generation, maybe 2. How much money would Big Pharma lose from all of the people that are not sick?
It would be an economic collapse of biblical proportion. You think about it. Like, okay, so I think what I said was, could you imagine, right? Could you imagine if right now, I could cure all cancers? I could cure all cancers, right? That's a wonderful thing. That's an amazing thing, okay? But think about what happens. Think about the repercussions. Think about the repercussions to healthcare, to hospitals, to cancer centers, to cancer societies. They would all be out of business tomorrow. It would be an economical collapse, right? So, and this, something I said too was, I've never been a conspiracy theorist, when it comes to like our government and things. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there that I absolutely do not believe in. We live on a round planet. Okay, sorry, flat earthers, you're wrong. But
mine's all belong.
Yeah, I know yours is a different shape. But when I am seeing what's going on in this industry and to this industry and the attacks to this industry, you can't help but wonder what the fuck is going on. What is going on? Because it's not about public health. This is not about keeping adults healthy and happy. It's not. It's about, where are we going to get the money from? Oh my, wait. Okay, so we're losing on the patches and the pills, and we're not getting the tax revenues from cigarettes anymore. And what are we gonna do? We got to attack it. We got to attack it from every corner and every angle that we possibly can to make the public perception that vaping is bad. That vaping is bad.
And to back,
perfect example of it, Mayo Clinic. There was one branch a couple of years ago. They did their own test study. They didn't really tell the head branches, but they did a test study for the people going into surgery who were smokers, and they got them to switch right before surgery. The people stayed vaping after they got out of surgery. These were heavy smokers, and they found they recovered much faster. Their surgery went much better, safer. They healed quicker. They were on the go much faster, and they became healthier because they were no longer smoking. The head branches of Mayo Clinic found that out and blew a gasket. They told them that gets ripped off your site now, and every Mayo Clinic had to put out, vaping is one of the worst things you can do.
I'm going to go back on. I don't know if this is going to play through.
Making new policy in the fall. And one of the things that we're going to have to examine is whether we take the entire category of pod-based e-cigarettes off the market. At some point, the youth use of those products becomes so intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value, and we'll just have to sweep the market of those products, and that includes Juul.
If that does not prove Phil's point, that they want people to think there is no redeeming value. Jesus, people, come on. Get your head out of your ass.
Mike, there should be, over just that, let me read it again. You had to go and play it again, so now I'm going to fucking read it again. At some point, the youth use, because kids are using this product, the youth use of those products becomes so intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value, even though they have the potential to make you not die of cancer.
Yeah. Here, listen to it again, people.
I
don't understand.
Here. So intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value, and we'll just have to sweep the market of those products. And
that means because kids are using Juul, your life doesn't mean anything. There's no redeeming value. There's no redeeming public health value to something that could be at least 95% safer than a cigarette because kids are using them. There should be public fucking outrage over that statement. That statement should be played, and it's not. Again, this is not the vapors. This should be picked up by mainstream media that can see through what that man just said, and it should be blown out of proportion the same way every other thing is blown out of proportion in mainstream media these days.
Wholeheartedly agree. This man just turned around and said on a major news outlet, "Hi, I don't care if you're an adult that no longer smokes, because this kid or group of kids is using this product. I'm taking it away. You no longer have the choice for this product. You no longer are allowed to choose this product. So I don't fucking care about you, Mr. Adult, who is no longer smoking." That's exactly what he just said.
And what's amazing, though, is that he says that, I don't know if I can share my screen here. Let me see if I can do this. Are you able to hear this if I play this?
Yes.
All right.
Maybe not.
Hold on. It's okay, here.
Can I taste your juice?
We believe these products can help currently addicted adult smokers transition off combustible tobacco onto products that don't have all the same risks as smoking.
That's it. Yep. He just said right there. What? Talk about talking out your mouth and out your ass at the same time, right? He just said we can save your life. This is going to save your life, but because kids are using them, we're going to take them away from you. Yep. Are you insane?
I'm going to put that up on full screen so people can see. This was Phil's edit of what was going on.
Can I taste your juice?
We believe these products can help currently addicted adult smokers transition off combustible tobacco onto products that don't have all the same risks as smoking.
That's it.
Can I taste your juice?
That's it. There is no more. And he prefaced his entire bullshit statement after that.
What gets me too is he says, well, we don't have enough studies and stuff to prove all this. First of all, we've got thousands and thousands of legit studies. But what information does he use? What information does he post as his references is junk science.
We don't, please, Bill, come on now. We don't have studies produced by people who are in their pockets. Let's be honest.
Yep, good correction.
Okay? Let's be honest. That's what he's really saying.
Yep.
All right.
Glance.
Because remember, okay, we do not have the same lungs and the same heart and the same respiratory tracts as those overseas. Ours are different.
Up in Canada, they even refused the Canadian gateway.
Different in Canada. We are very special in the United States, Bill. We have our very own respiratory. We have our own respiratory systems. We have our own circulatory systems. We have our own hearts and our own lungs here, Bill. You know, I know that you want the same internal organs that we do.
I want your muscles.
I apologize to everybody who's outside of the United States. Okay, you can't come over here for a transplant either.
No.
All right, just letting you know that our lungs and our heart very special in the United States.
They breathe different air, I think, at altitude. Now I'm going to ask you something, both of you. In that same clip that fired Phil up and made him want to burn his fucking house down, he talked about the roadmap. Go ahead.
I don't want to burn anybody's house down.
No, figure of speech. For those that are just tuning in, this is an opinion-oriented show. And anything that is said has to be taken in context with what was said before, after, or just fucking ignore it. But here's the thing. He said that there's already a roadmap that they're following. They are following a roadmap. He has said in that same statement that they are now out in the field doing another study. And that if things don't change, they will readdress this in the fall. And at that point, trying to wipe out all pod-based systems.
Not just, he did not specify only the pods would be.
No, he did not.
It would be.
And that's
vaping.
my point. When people say vaping now, what do they think? They think that piece of shit, wonderful technology, Juul. You say vaping to the general public, and they think Juul. Why? Because that's what's been hammered into their brain by ants, by social media, by the media, by news outlets, by this shit that he did today.
Promoted by Campaign for Killing Kids and the FDA.
Yes. So that must be vaping. So we have to eradicate that. And that's what they're looking at doing come fall time.
Right. So let me say this, Mike. I kind of started this off when I came in and you played that clip from Scott Gottlieb.
Yep.
And I said there are some positive things there. You know, he's talking about C-stores and he's talking about flavors, keeping this flavors out of C-stores and everything. Now, I did say that those are some positive things, but we cannot get comfortable with those things that he's saying.
No.
Because believe me, if getting out flavors in C-stores is phase 1, you bet your ass there is a phase 2 that is going to affect us more deeply.
That is the
once
roadmap
one rig is
they're
in
on.
place, any can be added in easily.
Yeah.
And by the way, why would the C-stores not be up in arms about it? They don't care. First of all, there are only a couple of flavors. They get rid of a couple. What are they trying to sell? Tobacco. So yeah, if you're only going to make it available tobacco, hey, yeah, we've got no problem having no flavored liquids. Just give us those.
You know, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? God forbid they ban flavors. Okay. Look, nobody wants that. I don't want that.
Nope.
I don't want that for myself. I don't want that for adult vapors. I don't want that for adult smokers who haven't found vaping yet. Okay. That's a very, very dangerous thing to do. But what is going to prevent a vape shop from cutting their store down the middle and having all of their same product, including their unflavored liquids, and right next door they open up a flavor shop?
Actually, that's covered under the deeming regulations and, again, in these guidelines, where that's still covered.
Explain it to me then, Bill. Explain that.
3 words. For intended use.
Okay.
What are you buying your flavor for? Are you buying it to put it in your fucking cupcakes? No. What are you going to use that flavor for there, Mr. Flavor Salesman? Are you going to use it to wash your car or make your car smell good? I really doubt it. So you're going to put it in that bottle that you bought next door. For intended use. And they will ram that Lucille ball bat even further up your ass.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb here and say prove it, right? Prove that's what I'm going to do with it. But I hear what you're saying. But,
889, that's why they put it in.
right. Okay. But regardless. So
Yeah.
so people start mixing their own liquid. So what happens? It becomes more dangerous. It becomes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like what's going on in the UK with the TPD, right? The TPD. Well, you can't have 10 mils, so we're going to do short fills. So now I got to buy nicotine, and I got to buy the bottle, and I got to mix it myself and shake it up, and I got this exposed, product. All you're doing is making it more dangerous.
And you can't teach device safety or have safer equipment.
And then you drive it into the underground, right? You drive it underground, where all of these e-liquid companies who have been trying to do things the right way with professional labs and standards and ISO compliancy and everything. Well, we're gonna take away the seatbelt and the anti-lock brakes and the lane departure. We're gonna take all that away. Okay, and now you're just gonna have to go find some black market e-liquid made in somebody's basement somewhere.
Yep, right back to bathtub.
Question for you,
juice.
Phil. Now I could be wrong about this. You're not a relatively brand new vapor. You've been vaping longer than a week or two, correct?
I started vaping 3 months ago. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Do you remember a few years ago? Because a lot of the newer vapors don't realize this, but do you remember like about 4 or 5 years ago when the huge uproar of people taking pictures of where the juice they were getting was being made, like in really dirty washrooms and like unclean bathtubs and that's basically where we're being pushed back to.
Well, of course. Of course. This is what I'm saying. This is not just what when I use the analogy of the car, the old car. That analogy does not only apply to hardware. That analogy applies to liquid every bit as much. Every bit as much. There's also the economic impact of what something like this could do. You have a lot of companies out there that are feeding their families by doing this, right? By making these products and selling these products. In a way, I happen to be in a way I happen to be one of them at this point, right? You're going to take that away from people. You love to think that everybody's in this industry to save lives. Okay, I think there's a handful of them. That are. I think there's more that are just opportunists and they see this as a way to make money. I think I am one of the people who legitimately cares about saving lives in this industry, or I would have done things a lot differently than I have. I would have looked at putting my name on a lot of different products than I did, right? But you've got people who are making money by saving lives. This is like another analogy that, let's say that Phil Busardo came up with something that was 10 times better than the Juul. That was more that for some reason there was something about this device, right, that got 40 million smokers to quit and use this device. So what happens? What happened there? Number one, Phil Busardo saved a lot of fucking lives. He saved a lot of lives. Number two, Phil Busardo became filthy rich. Okay, one just in this particular industry. One happens to go with the other, okay? And I think that's terrific. I think if you can work in an industry that also has the potential to save lives, I think that's fantastic. But we have to realize that there are people that are earning a living doing this, right? And there are some people out there that are really trying to do things the right way. These people are going to be affected. These people are going to be impacted. And the problem is that there is no good reason for this to be happening. None.
No, there's not.
Gentlemen, for those who are wondering, is Phil kind of taking it to extreme about wanting to help people? I've actually, when I was with he and Dimitri in Edmonton, I was actually there when someone came up and said, I was a smoker, I listened to you, some of it made sense, and I decided to try it, and I'm not a smoker anymore. And Phil, this isn't bullshit when it happens on cam, when he gets praised and all that. He literally does tear up so much. He has such a friggin' huge heart. And that's not bullshit. He and Dimmy, that's why they do that, like the smoker show. And there are more and more smokers coming in. I was a smoker. I started watching. I'm now vaping. Guess what? I've been off a week, 3 weeks. I've been off for 2 months now. My God, I love you guys. Why isn't this information out there for everybody?
Yeah.
And yet the FDA stops that kind of information from getting out.
Yeah, they're going to stop vaping altogether if they have their way. And Bill, I really appreciate that. You know, I've said this so many times before. Like, look, yeah, I've got a lot of really cool devices. I've been very, very lucky where the industry has taken me as a person. But the thing that means the most to me, and I'm going to switch over to this right here, is Taste Your Juice. And if you go down here to information, there's a success stories area right here. And if I click that, these are all the emails that I get and I still get from people that have successfully quit smoking. Maybe it was because of something I said or something I did or my reviews or a product or whatever. It goes on and on and on. And there are so many pages. And what I call this is my trophy room. These are the things that mean the most to me. This is what this game is and always has been and always will be all about for me. It's about those people. It's about those people who maybe are going to see their kids get married, or maybe are going to see their grandkids get married, or going to spend more time with their grandkids, or going to be around for their families to enjoy each other. You know, this is really what vaping should be about and what vaping should represent. It should have never been about chucking giant clouds and cloud competitions. That's you know, I appreciate and I love the fact that side of vaping is out there, because I think it keeps people engaged and involved and not smoking. But that should have never been the focus of vaping. Never. It should have never happened.
No.
You know, and now when we see vape shops that just cater to that, that's all they cater to. That's all they care about. They don't even have starting products, starter kits. They don't have the nicotine strengths that people need to not smoke anymore. We're doing ourselves, we're doing the industry, we're doing smokers, we're doing human beings a disservice. It's not good. It's not right. And you know, maybe. And again, I like to say that, well, that backfired on us, and look at where we are now. Right? The cloud competitions and the childish advertising and the bad labels and everything, that backfired, and look at where we are now. I can't even say that. Because they're fucking going after Juul, which has like absolutely zero child advertising. So what do we blame? What do we blame this on? Do we blame it on the parents for not knowing what their kids are doing? Do we blame it on the kids that shouldn't be doing it in the first place? Or maybe we blame the goddamn C-stores and all of the locations that made it possible for kids to get their hands on this stuff. Maybe it's their fault. Maybe that's why we're in the situation that we're in now. But I really think that it was just a combination of things that came together and formed a perfect storm, and we're all fucked now.
The confluence of events.
Yeah.
Now, it's funny with Juul, because you know how they keep saying, they've got almost every school principal and every school group saying, we need to educate these kids because they've got these Juuls and they look like flash drives, and so we don't know that they've got them.
Bullshit.
Now, Phil, you've seen Dimitri naked, so you can sort of understand size comparisons.
Oh my God. No.
Here are a stack, and some of these are like 10 years old, of thumb drives. Do any of these look 6 inches long?
Excuse me. Hold on for just 1 second. All right, I get rid of that. Let me set this record straight. Let me set the record straight, okay? I have never seen Dimitri naked. Thank God. Thank God.
Well,
Now,
the lights are usually off, but
I
still.
have seen him in his underwear a lot, and there was this one time where we shared a room where the bathroom there was like a big window between the bathroom and the bedroom, right? But you could push a button and it made the window opaque, so you couldn't see through it.
Nice.
Right? So I'm in the bedroom, right? Trying not to look in the bathroom, even though I can't see in there. I'm just trying not to look in it. And all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, Phil." And I turn around. He's got his bare ass pressed up against the glass, okay? And you could kind of make it out. You could kind of see it because, you know, it's kind of opaque, but not like really fully, you know, see.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
And it was Mike, it was disturbing. It was very, very disturbing. So that's as much of Dimitri that I have seen. So no, I Bill, believe it or not, truth be told, I cannot, thank you, do a size comparison on that. But I do see where you're going, and I do agree with you. But you can also say, well, what about the mini fit, right? I mean, that's kind of like the size of it. All right.
Question: can you imagine the cleaning lady's expression the next day? Who threw euros all over this glass?
Guys, we're going to take just a quick sponsor break because without our sponsor, Smoke Free Radio could not do what it does. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up for the evening with some final thoughts. So everybody just hang tight. We'll be right back.
Hey now, this is Dimitri with Smoke Free Radio reminding you to please show some love to our wonderful sponsors. Without them, there would be no Smoke Free Radio, and they are as follows. All the way from Florida, Moon Mountain Vapor, with locations in Florida, and their liquid available for wholesale and retail, moonmountainvapor.com. Some of the best custards and tobaccos on the market from the Brickwills Vaping Company. The lovely Shell with a vapor bar, locations in Texas, Virginia, and West Virginia. And of course online at thevaporbar.com. And who says you can't have award-winning e-liquid without cartoon characters? That's exactly what you're going to get at theplumeroom.com. And finally, of course, the Vaping Advocate magazine that has generously provided the telephone lines for you to communicate with us. Thank you for your support. And finally, for you, the listener, don't forget to check out the coupons and codes page on Smoke Free Radio. Pick up some e-liquid and save some money. From all of us here at Smoke Free Radio, thank you for your continued support.
Hey folks, P. Busardo here, and you're listening to Vaping and the Mic with Mike Peterson.
We are back here with two people, and I love the show this evening. I appreciate both of you. Phil, especially you, for dropping what you were doing this evening to be able to catch up and join us. But with me this evening is Mr. Bill Tarling, all the way out in Vancouver, Columbia, British Columbia? British Columbia, all the way the hell out there.
Island. Not even in BC, on the little tiny island.
Yeah, he's on the island. And down south, folks, Mr. Phil Busardo, who is, it's just, Phil, it's great. This has been an awesome kind of thing.
Well, you know, Mike, first of all, I thank you for allowing me to be on the show tonight. And there's a few different reasons why, okay? Number one, I had a lot of pent-up anger today. So I think the show really allowed me to get some of that out. And maybe tomorrow I could go back to a little bit more sense of normalcy. And I'm being dead serious right now, because my plan tomorrow, my original plan before you allowing me to come on the show and vent a little bit was to just have a bitch fest. I was gonna get in the boat and just do a rant video, and that's not gonna help anybody. That would have just been me like venting, right? And that I wouldn't have gotten any work done. So a sincere thank you to you for allowing me to come and vent on the show. Number one. Number two, please, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, have me back when I am in a better mood. Okay,
and we're going to, because I still very much want to put you and Dimitri together on the show, because Dimitri had said that he would do it. It's just trying to find time between your schedule, his schedule, and trying to mash it all together.
Wait, who was that?
That vaping Greek guy.
Greek for him to understand.
Oh, the Greek guy. Him. Okay. Yeah, no, but do let's have some fun on a future show. This was not a fun show. Today has not been a fun day for me.
People very much needed to hear, and honest to God, I don't give a shit if people say that I'm a fanboy. I don't give a flying fuck. I use that clip that you did every time I can. I play it for people. People say, well, what should I hear about vaping? I will send them that clip in an email. I will post it to people in chats. Here, just listen to this. So for people to be able to have time this evening, to be able to sit and listen to you live, not a pre-recorded, it's not, and there are no holds barred, but to be able to sit and listen to you and to understand why are you so pissed has been invaluable.
And I appreciate that, but based on this, at some point the youth use of those products becomes so intolerable that they have no redeeming public health value. It should be a lot more than just me that's enraged today. It should be a lot more. It should be every vapor, not only in the United States, it should be every vapor on the planet that should be absolutely outraged by the words that we heard today, because they are basically saying, because youth are using these products, that our lives and our right to use these products means nothing.
Yes.
And there should be outrage today. There really, really should be.
The commissioner of the FDA today just said, I don't care about your health. People that have switched to this product, fuck you. We're taking it away because that kid over there is using a Juul.
And when questioned on what about all these real scientific studies, it's always, well, you vapors are just anecdotes. Yet the kids,
oh my God,
script to read in hearings, they are factual claims and proof. Which is like
when they turn around and they had at the ANPRM, and they asked everybody to please submit their story, whatever. And they called them all anecdotes. These are all just stories. They don't matter. And yet in Kentucky, they had kids. This was after the first one that they wanted to do a T21. At that table was the vice president of Altria. People need to understand something. I'm going to rant just for a second. People need to know you don't get a vice president of Marlboro out of bed for shits and grins. It doesn't fucking happen. He makes a boatload of cash. So he's sitting on one end, the senator is sitting on the other end, and on the other end of the table, who is it? Oh, the lobbyist for Juul. And they are all agreeing that T21 needs to happen. So the people that are smoking at 18, 19, and 20, go fuck yourselves. We don't care about you. That's number one. But then they came back with another one, trying to pass another T21. And what did they do? They put 3 or 4 children in to testify.
Oh, I hate.
Where the fuck does that become okay that so many thousands, tens of thousands of adults wrote to the FDA politely, nicely, kindly saying this product helped me stop smoking? And those are anecdotes. But these little fucking twits that are sitting at this table turn around, oh my God, Jimmy was juuling yesterday. And it became evidence in a fucking trial. Really?
I don't care if they bring children in to fight for something that I completely believe in. Okay, that should not happen. That should never happen. That's exploitation. That's child abuse. They are trained monkeys and nothing more than that, my friend. Nothing more than that. That should never be used.
No,
never.
These are
as proof,
underage.
if you listen to some of the hearings, and a lot of them are available from the different places, listen right away. You've got the kids. If you listen to what each one says, the wording, regardless East Coast, West Coast, Center, the wording is almost always identical. They are scripted. It's not these kids bringing up their feelings. It's, here's what we want you to say. Okay, and I get a T-shirt? Okay.
Do you remember when the Surgeon General had a newscast, a live newscast, with him, some lady, I don't even remember who the hell she was, Scott Gottlieb, and, wait for it, an underage minor that was standing in front of the podium addressing whomever was watching, newscast, the public? Really? She can't even fucking vote, people.
It's disgusting. It's really...
And you've heard the latest one, too, with the one who stood up and said, this little girl, she started vaping. She got popcorn lung. Oh. She had to be hospitalized because popcorn lung almost killed her. But they managed to save her, and they got her out. And as soon as she stopped vaping, it was all gone.
That was from Michigan. That was an elected official from Michigan. Yes, this girl tried vaping one time and got instant popcorn lung. I don't know if it was because of her body or what, but she was on a ventilator, and they turned around, and they got her cured, and now she's okay. This is what
it's the first person ever cured. And the people who had popcorn lung worked in popcorn factories. It was the powder.
Now, for people that are listening, watching, going to listen later on, you have to understand, popcorn lung is a thing from a popcorn factory. Okay? There have been
the few people who got it, okay, had their heads only. Had their heads in giant vats of the flavoring and they were breathing that in all day long. I just want you to understand that's how they got popcorn lung.
It was all the powder from the flavoring and everything, and wasn't overnight. This was like these were long-time workers.
No.
And what people don't get that
hold on, Bill. They need to understand one more thing.
Yeah.
Vaping has a fraction of a percentage of the chemical that causes popcorn lung compared to a cigarette. A cigarette is like 700 times more.
And yet never been a single case of popcorn lung from a cigarette.
Nobody in the history of smoking has gotten popcorn lung. So where the fuck does this give it to you instantly? One try.
You know, I had I went to dinner with some friends tonight, and my adopted niece and nephew. I love them to death. I call them adopted because they're not really in my family, but I love them to death. And Kim, who has 2 kids, said something very interesting to me today. They said, you know, as an adult and as a parent, if given the choice, if my child were to pick up, as an underage child, if they were to pick up a cigarette or a vaporizer, I would much rather than pick up a vaporizer. And, you know, that's something that we can't talk about a lot because we know we don't want the youth to vape. We don't want the youth to vape. And talking about youth vaping is very, very taboo, right? I don't want any kid to pick up a PV, a Juul, any vaping device. I don't want any kid to pick up a cigarette, right? But you got to say to yourself, all right, if I was being forced to hand that kid either a cigarette or better yet, the kid is going to pick up one or the other, you know, what do you want them to pick up? What do you want? And again, this is a very, very taboo subject, but it's something that it's something that should be discussed, you know, because I mean, there's somebody who's telling me as a parent, right? I don't want my kids to smoke, but if they have to pick up something, I would much rather than pick up a PV.
Yep.
Right? That makes sense. That makes sense. But I will always fight tooth and nail and always say, look, if you don't smoke and you don't vape, continue to do neither. You're on the right path. Good for you. Don't pick up these bad vices that we have, right? But if you're a smoker, if you're an adult smoker, let's help you live a little bit longer, and let's help you live a little of a better lifestyle. Let's help you make you feel better.
Two little points. People are going, well, you vape people are, and this, because most of us are vapors, most of the ones listening are vapors. Hopefully somebody else will come in who's wondering, what's all this bullshit stuff, vaping, let's get rid of it, find out something. Why, like they keep saying, you vape companies and you vapors, you're trying to market to the kids. No, there's a reason why we're so passionate. Most of us started smoking when we were underage. Most kids did back then, except for Mike. He waited till he was of legal age because he was a good boy. But most people started as kids. We went through. We knew how tough it was to quit. Myself, I went through gums, patches, lozenges. I went through acupuncture. I went through 2 sessions of laser therapy. I went through Chantix. I went through a number of things. I tried cold turkey. Didn't work. The last thing a vapor wants is a kid smoking.
Hands down.
Reason we're so passionate, these helped us finally get off. So the last thing we want to do is ever encourage anything towards smoking, because we know the hell we went through.
Oh, for sure.
Trying to get off it.
And it has been. See, you mentioned that. I'm probably one of the odd ducks in the entire world. I didn't start smoking until I was out of high school. I was 19.
Wow.
Because I found that at that time, beer and cigarettes went together really, really well. And so when I hear people that say they started smoking at 12, blows my mind. Kevin Crowley started when he was 12. I'm like, you have got to be kidding. It's just, it is difficult at times for me to fathom that.
I think Dimmy started when he was 10, didn't he? Wasn't he 10 years old in that picture that he has? That he used at the start of the Smoker Show?
Well, I'm sorry. I just got a message in from Thomas Kiersop up in, Thomas.
Yes.
Up in Canada. And he was just telling me, he must be listening to the show. Because he said, I haven't been following the U.S. stuff. I haven't been following the U.S. stuff today, but I got mad too. Oh, maybe he's talking about something else, but he's fuming about something up there in Canada.
And that's it's going to happen, folks.
People don't realize Health Canada is using everything and all the claims and everything that the U.S. FDA, CDC, and Surgeon General are using, trying to pass the exact same stuff here. So I don't care if you're not in Canada, you got to pay attention to what's happening there, because it spreads.
Yeah. So, guys, again, Mike, I know you wanted to shut it down, and I do appreciate you having me on. And I don't know if you're going to do last thoughts.
Yes.
But again, I do want to thank you for having me on, allowing me to vent, get some of this off my chest. And I'll close it up. I'll close it up with, I showed you the success stories page before.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go ahead and share this little quote here that I found. In conclusion, I know about time, right? He did write a big letter here. I can't thank you enough for not only saving my life, but changing it forever. You see, 7 years ago, my wife and I finally got to a place where we could try to have a child. We tried for 2 years, had 2 miscarriages, and were about to give up. Then March 8th, 2014 happened, the day I quit smoking. A month and a half later, my son was conceived, Mark Dobbs Jr., born December 21st, 2014. Who knew smoking influences on sperm count and made it so that we were unable to conceive and have issues with the pregnancy. So, like I said, you not only saved my life, but you changed it forever. And here's the photo of that lovely family. Now, we're not antidotes. We're not stories. We're people. We're human beings who had a hard time giving up smoking. where we tried the normal methods. Most of us have tried the normal methods, and it didn't work. And we found vaping. We use it, we enjoy it, we know it's better for ourselves. And many of us, if not most of us, enjoy the flavors as well. They keep us excited, they keep us engaged, they keep us enthused, they allow us to change things up a little bit. And this is something that you can't take away from us. You cannot take it away from us, and you could not think of us as just some stories because youth is using the product. What you have to do is you have to figure out a way to make this fully available, accessible, and easy to use for an adult while keeping it out of the hands of the youth. That's your job. That's your job. That's not our job. Okay? So don't carpet bomb, but rather take strategic strikes and figure out how to fix this problem without affecting adults getting their hands on it. That's what you have to do. That's your job. Okay? So that's the way I'm going to end the show tonight, pal.
Bill?
One quick little fact first. In the U.S., do you realize one of the reasons why sperm count is affected? Something that had to be put into cigarettes, saltpeter, as a retardant, which affected a lot of the sperm counts. Now, I wasn't going to bring that up because I don't want people saying, well, he recommended this as a contraceptive, so I took up smoking. No. For my closing thing, I'm going to do a quick switch to advocacy here. Something I've been trying to push. Yes, we need manufacturers jumping in to start supporting their state groups or national groups and so on. But for every single shop, and the ones who say, well, our budget's so tight, we really can't afford to join an organization. Here's what I want every single vape shop to do for their straight organizations. Beginning of the month, new month starts. First, you open up the store. Your first 5 bottles of e-liquid that you sell. Take the profits, not the whole retail cost, just the profits from just the first 5 bottles, nothing else. It'll take probably half an hour, 2 hours tops. Your profit from that, put to your state organization, and you've at least covered to keep them going. Because guess what? With all the shit you've been hearing tonight, this is just the warm-up. It is going to get even nastier. And if you don't have a state group fighting for you, you might start seeing some of the pictures that we talked about earlier from 4 or 5 years ago of where you don't want your juice and e-liquids made. And I know everyone hates the word juice. I still use that term, but that's one of these days we got to put up. Oh, one quick request for you, Mike. A clip of Phil you have to find and put on the show one day. And Phil, I'm glad you're still here. This, to me, I almost did break down in tears. I know you hate speaking in front of legislation, but there was one clip where you decided, screw it. You went up and spoke, and it was...
Yeah, I totally agree.
Brilliance and touching to the heart. And I'm hoping that, Mike, you can find that clip sometime and play it on the show, because that's what we need in front of legislation. It was so heartfelt that, yeah, it made a huge impact for a lot of people.
I appreciate that. I was shaking in my boots going up there. I hate doing that.
It was absolutely brilliant.
All right. You know, Mike, I tried to end the show elegantly, but, you know, here's Bill. I just got one more little thing. I just got one more little thing. You know, imagine trying to deal with this on the Smoker Show, where he's your actual co-host. You know, I'm trying to get a show done, and it's just Bill Tarling. It's the Bill Tarling show. It's great. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you. Sometimes you just got you can actually just throw him out of the. You can mute his mic. You go ahead and do whatever you need to do, Mike. Go ahead.
I've suggested that.
I'm messing with you. I was gonna say I'm effing with you, Bill, but I've used that word way too many times tonight. So I'm messing with you, Bill.
I tried to stay away from it, but tonight I even emptied my glass. My wife, Shelley, brought me an orange margarita that was a little bit stiff, and It got emptied real quick.
Once Phil's gone, we can get back to our sci-fi discussion.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the new Orville or the new Star Trek, so don't say shh.
I'm watching reruns of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I'm binge watching it again.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have Mr. Phil Busardo and Mr. Bill Tarling. If you're looking for information from Phil, you can go and check out two things. You can check out his webpage at tasteyourjuice.com, and he has a ton of reviews. He's got a ton of information. The other one that goes right behind that is every other Tuesday on YouTube is The Smokers Show. Please go and check that out. It is a show for smokers by vapors. It is there to help people learn and understand why vaping is a much better alternative. If you are looking for information from Mr. Bill Tarling on Facebook, you can go directly to the page that he runs that carries information from all over the planet at vapedistortion.com. Gentlemen, I seriously thank you so much for being on the show this evening. It really does. It means a lot to me, hands down. I'm going to end this, Phil, with that favorite clip. So don't go anywhere, anybody.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Art. And it's frustrating. And as an experienced vapor and as somebody who's done research, into this and understanding the safety of it, like you, like Dimitri, imagine how we feel when we see one of those stories or hear or read one of those stories. You're like, what can I do? What can you want to reach through the screen and choke somebody? It's so infuriating what you see. And, one of the questions that I always ask myself is, from the Royal College of Physicians, they're estimating, we'll say the 95% number, 95% safer than smoking cigarettes, right? Let's say that number wasn't 95, which is a very, very high number, by the way. That's an extremely high number. Let's say that number was only 5%, okay? 5% safer than smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
If you have the potential to save 5% of the lives of smokers, wouldn't you support that?
Right.
Media?
Right.
Wouldn't you support that? Healthcare? Wouldn't you support that? Cancer societies? Right? But why don't you? We're talking about 95%, not 5%, 95% safer. Right. Why is this not being supported? Why are we finding obstacles and roadblocks every step of the way? And you know what it keeps coming down to? In my mind, everything, money.
Absolutely.
All about money. They don't give a shit about your health, public health. They don't care. What they care about is continuing to make money via taxes and via health care. Okay? Because keeping people sick, not curing people and treating people and keeping them sick is big, big money. Imagine if cancer were to be cured right now. Right now, I have in this bottle right here the cure to cancer. What would happen to our society if that were to happen?
Yeah.
Imagine the economic breakdown that would occur. Imagine the number of people who would be out of jobs. Imagine the number of hospitals that would have to close down instantly, right? I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, and I never was one until I got involved in this, and until I started seeing that this thing that we're doing has the potential to save so many lives, and yet we're coming up with roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, fight after fight after fight. Why? I think it's because of money.
Hey, thanks for calling in, and screw the music.